Hello everyone, this is a course to learn the basics of Python. Today we are going to learn about control flow statements. Here is today's lecture index. To begin with, we will learn about conditional statement. We will learn how to use the if statement and what the comparison operator is. Next, we will learn about loop statement. Here, we will study the format of while and for statement. Through this lecture, we will learn various statements and review what we learned through the exercise. First, let's talk about the conditional statement. Conditional statement is a grammar that executes code when a condition is specified. When you create a program, you have to deal with a lot of situations. Conditional statements are used to deal with various situations. The most typical conditional sentence is if statement. The if statement is used to determine the condition and execute the situation that meets the condition. The basic form of the if statement is as follows. The if conditional statement writes the condition after the word if and end by colon. Then the code to execute comes on the next line. You can use an else-if statement that has more than one option that can be separated using a conditional operator. The basic form is similar to the if statement, and the else-if should also be careful about indentation. Next, we will talk about the condition. Condition operators are used to compare the relationship between two values. It is used to compare whether x and y values are the same or different, large or small. The composition operator is shown in the following table. Next, let's check an example using a comparison operator. We will look at the results of the following conditions when x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. It can be seen that true comes out when x is larger than y, false when x is equal to y, and true when x is not equal to y. Next, let's look at another condition operator. X or y means true if one of x or y is true. X and y means both x and y must be true to be true. Not x mean true if x is false. Let's understand and or not by looking some examples. When we execute the statement if x is larger than z or y is smaller than z, then print success. The result will be success. The reason is that x is larger than z is false and y is smaller than z is true. It is true by or. Next, let's learn about the loop statement. Before discussing loop, let's briefly explain why loop is needed. Let's say you want to print hi 10 times. Without the loop, you must write the code to print hi 10 times. Would that be too cumbersome? However, loop makes these simple, repetitive tasks very easy. So let's learn about while, one of the loops. If you need to perform a statement repeatedly, you can use the while statement. In the while statement, the statements below the while statement are repeatedly executed while the conditional statement is true. The while statement repeatedly executes the contents of the while statement as long as the conditional statement is true. However, there are times when you want to forcibly exit the while statement. In this case, you can use break. That is, break is used to make the loop break out in the middle of the loop. If break is applied, it ignores everything below and exits the loop right there. When executing the statement in the while statement, the input condition is checked, and if the statement is not met, the while statement is exit. However, while programming, there may be cases where you want to return to the beginning of the while statement without exiting the while statement. In this case, you can use continue statement. Here is an example code. First, 0 is assigned to the variable x to be used in the while loop. And until x becomes 10, it outputs hello and add 1 to x. At this time, if x is 7, it prints x is equal to 7 and stop. Because there is a break, the while statement exits immediately. That is, it prints hello 7 times and prints x is 7. Next, let's learn about the for statement, which is another one of the conditional statement. This for statement best represents the intuitive characteristics of Python. The for loop, which is a looping statement similar to the while statement, is very useful and has the advantage of being able to see the structure of the statement at a glance. The basic structure of the for statement is as follows. Block of statements is executed by assigning two variables sequentially from the first element to the last element of a list, tuple, or string. The for statement is often used together with the range function, which automatically creates a list of numbers. To specify the starting number and ending number, use the form range starting number and ending number, but the ending number is not included. If you use list comprehension that include a for statement in a list, you can make a more convenient and intuitive program. In addition, the break and continue statements discussed in the while statement can also be used in the for statement. This example puts the result of multiplying each item in a list by 2 in the result list and add the values of the elements in the result, and then print the added value. Next, let's solve some problems about what we learned in this lesson. Please pause the video and solve the problem. The first problem was to print the multiplication table using the for statement. Using the for statement and the range function, you can simplify print the multiplication table as follows. In the first for statement, number 2 through 9 are assigned to I in turn. At this time, the number of stages is printed. In the second for statement, number 1 to 9 are substituted for j, and the next statement print is executed. The second problem is the problem of using the while statement to output as many start steps as the input number. Initially, the count value is initialized to 0, and from 0 to less than the input value, star is output as much as the count value, and the count value is incremented by 1. This is the end of the first Python lesson. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment.